Welcome back to another episode of Talk Your Abs Off. I'm your host, Abby Clapper, and today we are talking about the evolution of the nutritional guidelines from the old school food pyramid to the much more practical MyPlate. We're also going to chat about how you don't need to carry your food scale everywhere. You actually have a built-in portion guide right in your own hand. Literally. So starting with our food pyramid, if you grew up in the 90s, early 2000s, you remember the old food pyramid. It's got the really wide base at the bottom, and that one, all carbs, right? That one's got our carbs, our grains, all our breads. And then moving up to the next little level, if you remember, I know it was a while ago, we're bringing it back. It broke the fruits and vegetables into two sections, and it usually recommended about 3 to 4 servings per in that little level there. Right above that, we had two more little half sections. One of those was milk, yogurt, and cheese. And then the other half of that section was meat, poultry, fish, dry beans, eggs, and nuts. Kind of put a lot into that one little group. And then right above that one, at the very tippy top, we had our fats, oils, and sweets, which are all very different things, which is crazy that it's up there, but we'll get into that. So the biggest issues that we had in 1992 when this food pyramid was created was the overemphasis on carbs. It also had really confusing portion recommendations, like 6 to 11 servings of bread. How do you measure that? It didn't really give us too much to work with when it just said servings. It also didn't highlight the healthy fats or quality of food choices. If you remember, the fats, oils, and sweets were all put at the very tippy top of the pyramid together, even though those are all very different things. That one also said, as their serving size, use sparingly, so not very specific. And this food pyramid is really hard to translate into an actual plate of food. Now, we probably know more now, like maybe a serving is a cup. I don't know, if we had to guess, we could do that. But again, we don't really know exactly what we're looking for. So going on to the next one, thankfully, in 2005, if you remember this one, things switched to, it was still a pyramid, and the categories were in vertical slices. So they were still sized based on quote unquote importance, but it was still kind of confusing. This pyramid, called My Pyramid, also had someone walking up the side of the pyramid on some steps, which I read was to encourage activity, which I think is great. This one was adding a little bit more. We're getting a little bit closer to where we need to be. But these sizes with no recommendation on serving sizes still are kind of confusing. Then in 2011, the US Department of Agriculture brought us MyPlate. So we moved from My Pyramid to MyPlate. And this was a very visual and simple guide. This, if you're watching on YouTube, if you want to take a peek, I actually have a little show and tell. So we have a little visual of what the MyPlate looks like. This is an actual MyPlate, and the way that it's designed, if you aren't watching on YouTube, I'll explain it to you. So the plate is divided into different sections. If you are watching on video, these are a little bit mislabeled, so I'm going to correct that. Half of the plate is fruits and veggies. So you want half your plate to be fruits and vegetables. A quarter of the plate is protein, and then the last quarter is our grains. Now it also has a section up at the top that puts dairy off to the side and does say that it's optional. And with the dairy section, it does say right on the plate, eat or choose low-fat and non-fat options. So this one actually gives you a lot more like relative information on the serving sizes. It is so much easier to visualize on your own plate, and it really encourages variety and balance in each meal. It also helps us focus on the food quality, so things like whole grains and lean proteins. Even the pictures that are on the plate are of our lean meats, our chicken, our fish, and then it's got our grains, and it looks like maybe some rice, some whole grain, pasta. So, it gives you a little bit better idea of exactly what we're looking for. Now, MyPlate actually works with most eating styles. It's really flexible and adaptable. So where you can actually find more of this information is myplate.gov. I'll make sure to put it in the show notes. It is amazing. It has so many incredible resources from quizzes that teach kids how to eat healthy, as well as a ton of free healthy recipes that you can try. And the best part is each recipe will tell you which food groups you're eating and how much. It even includes the nutritional facts. It is so much easier than trying to memorize the servings per day, like in the old pyramid, and you have a literal visual reference right in front of you for what that can look like. Now, another really handy tool that you can use, let's say you're out and about. Let's say you are out to eat and you are someone who tracks your food, whether you're using MyFitnessPal, Chronometer, any of the food tracking apps, and you're out to eat and you just don't know what the serving size is. You don't know how to log it. That can be really challenging. You don't want to have to carry your weight scale with you. You're definitely not bringing your measuring cups with you. That is totally okay. A really good way to kind of guesstimate your protein sizes is using your own hand. Now, we know everyone's hands are different sizes, so this is going to vary person to person. However, it gives you a really good, just general idea of how you can log your food if it is something that you're doing, if tracking is important to you. So I'm going to run through how to use your hand to track these different portion sizes. Again, if you want to look on YouTube, otherwise I'll be explaining it. You can follow along. You can try to do it with me. All right, so if we put our hand up, you can extend those fingers out a little bit. The palm of our hand is usually going to be about 3 ounces, and that's what we use to measure protein sources, things like beef, poultry, and fish. Now, if we pull those 4 fingers in and stick the thumb up, like you're giving somebody a thumbs up, that tip of the thumb, actually pretty much the whole thumb from that first knuckle at the bottom all the way to the top, is about a tablespoon. Now, this will measure things like mayo, cheese, and salad dressing. I know, not a lot of salad dressing. Some of us are using a lot more salad dressing, but it's good for you to know, right? We want to be aware of what we're eating so that we can track it accurately. Now, still using that same thumb, we're going to look at the thumbnail. That is about 1 teaspoon. That is going to measure fats like oil, butter, and also salad dressing. If you want to use a tablespoon, the whole thumb. If you want to use a teaspoon, fingernail, thumbnail. Go ahead and turn that palm into a fist. That is going to measure about 1 cup. And this can measure carbs like rice. It can measure salads, fruits, popcorn, different snacks like that. And then lastly, if we go ahead and cup that hand, that is about a 1/2 cup. If we take that inner part of that cupped hand right there, measures about 1/2 cup. And this can measure pastas, nuts, potatoes, ice cream. It can measure anything, right? So same, whether you want to measure 1 cup, we'll use the fist. If you want to measure 1/2 cup, that's that cupped hand there. So this is great for on the go. Again, you don't need your food scale and you don't need your measuring cups. And we can actually tie it back to MyPlate. So here's our plate, right? And if we look at the palm of your hand, it actually fits about that same size as our protein portion size. So it's a really good way just to guesstimate if you're on the go, and at least give yourself a fighting chance to know what the serving size is that you're eating. Now, both of these, MyPlate and using your hand as a portion guide, are really important because they help us support balanced nutrition without having to overthink. There's so much that we're already overthinking of, whether it's our workouts, what we're doing at work, what you have to do with your family. There's so much that we think about throughout the day. MyPlate and using your hand as a reference guide for portions can help you not have to overthink. It helps you kind of naturally portion control things. It also encourages variety and nutrient diversity, specifically about using MyPlate. And it also makes healthy eating feel more approachable and sustainable. You know that is a big topic on this podcast. We want it to be sustainable, something that you can continue to do for a lifetime. This is a really simple way for you to just imagine that MyPlate in your head and translate it directly to your own plate every day. All right, this was a quick one today. To wrap this up, we want to think in plates and not pyramids. Pyramids are confusing. And you've always got your portion guide in the palm of your hand. Literally. I want to invite you to try and create your next meal, maybe your meal for the next day, with the MyPlate visual. And if you do, I would love to see it. If you want to share your plate photos to social media, please feel free to tag me, or you can just send it to me directly. I'm at Coach Abby Clapper on Facebook and Instagram. I would love to see how you are changing your plate to more of a MyPlate, a more balanced approach, if that's something that you are looking to do. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this has brought you just a couple of tips to help you make eating feel a little bit easier while still finding that healthy balance. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.